This is the analog system that has been produced by Jeff Sheldon of Ugmonk, and I want to show you how to do the time crafting framework with this system. So you can actually take all of these cards and use the time crafting methodology and framework with them. Now, before we get into that, I'm going to showcase what each of these cards kind of represents. First off, you get the today cards, and what they offer obviously is a view of today. Then there is the next cards, and the next cards are what you plan on doing next, so beyond today, and there's 10 slots for today, there's 10 slots for next. And then there's the someday cards, and again, same thing, you can capture things that you want to do someday on these cards right here. Each are a different color. They're good card stock, typically, typical index card thickness. The paper is quite nice, dries really quickly if you're using fountain pens, which I'm going to use here. And they come in this package right here. So you get a package of analog cards that comes with today cards, with next cards, and with someday cards. And you can buy the packages individually, or you can buy them with one of their starter kits, which comes with this stand right here where it's magnetized. You can put the cards inside of here, of course, and this magnet sits on top. And then a card will sit right in this slot here as well. Not only that, but you can get this travel pouch as well, which has a pen loop, and you can stick some cards in here. So that is the crux of the framework, this analog system. Now, one thing I do want to share also is it does come with a card that kind of tells you how to use them. So this is what Jeff and the Ugmonk team have said, this is how they use them. So there's different task signals. You could follow this if you like. I'm going to show you a bit of a different way that I use them. And then the cards signals. This may be in relation to, again, you can organize the related cards by filling in different dot patterns. You could fill in the dot to rate yourself. So there is some flexibility there. I'll show you how I use them. And then, of course, on the back, it actually walks through the cards. So the today cards, you basically at the beginning of the day write up your 10 tasks or up to 10 tasks. Then you use this task signals to indicate how far, what the progress is, etc. And then you carry over unfinished tasks onto a today card or move them to a next or someday card. You can also record, again, the important tasks that need to be done on the next cards, but not today. And again, you can use them as a feeder tool for the today cards as well. And then the someday cards are just cards for ideas that come to mind that you may want to, pursue at a later date. So we're going to put these cards off to the side because I actually only use these with time crafting for things that I'm going to pursue later. I don't use these as feeder cards, as was outlined in that description. I don't take things from next necessarily and put them today. What I'll do is, as things come to mind, whether they're already in my digital task app or not, I will put them inside of the next card if I expect to do them sometime this week. And if I expect to do them sometime in the future, I will put them on the someday card. But the digital tools that I use, rather, they actually are more representative of this next and someday. So this is just if I'm working in analog mode, I use these to capture those things. So I'll put these off to the side. So I'm going to take one of these. Let's write down the day view. Now, what I'll do is I will put here the actual date. So I'll put, for example, today is Wednesday, so I'll just put Wednesday and the date. So today it is 12/13. And then here I will put the daily theme. And you can put this in whatever color you want, but for me it's audio video day. So that's what I'll put here. So that way I could look at either and get a sense of how that looks for me, what I'm going to be working on. So my overarching focus for the day is audio video work. These 3 dots right here I use to track 3 individual habits. So for example, let's say that I did in fact go for a walk. I can mark this down. And if I did my journaling, I could put that there. And then meditation would fill in the 3rd dot. So it allows you to track 3 habits. You could also use it And I've recommended some people who are using these, if you're doing your morning routine or your evening routine, I'll often say, yeah, you know what? Use it to track whether you've done all 3 steps of your routine. So then what I'll do is I will essentially write down the tasks for the day. Now, because I have my daily theme up here, I have a sense of what that's going to be. Record intro. So this is the next podcast that I'm working on. And I mean, again, I break things down. Now, you can use different colors here as well. So if there's something related to that's really kind of critical that I need to work on, you could use a different color. So this would be make analog video. And that's a slightly different color. I can tell the difference. And then I would just continue to work my way down. Now notice that there's still 4 left. I leave those open. So this is where I treat kind of like the 6 for the day. If you've checked out my program, the 6, you know I try to get at least 6 tasks done per day, especially ones that are related to the theme. So I'm only going to put 6 here. All of these tasks are coming out of my head right now, but typically I'll grab them from ClickUp or Todoist, which are the task apps I'm using right now. ClickUp for professional. Personal is Todoist. And then what I'll do is fill in the 6 that I know I want to accomplish, and then there's 4 left over. These could get filled, or I may just leave them empty. You're probably wondering, if you followed my work before, where do the attention paths go? Well, again, I usually use a different color for this, but I will put the attention paths right here on the right hand side. You can put them on the left if you want, but I'm just going to put like audio, right? Because that's what that is. This is also audio, and most things here will be either audio or video. So this is not, so I'm going to put this as, this is going to be a high energy task. This is going to be a high energy task. And then realistically promoting a show, it's low energy. And I have a template for that. So that's typically what I'm looking at. When I look at this card, I see the daily theme and the date. You can decide whether or not you want to put that in or not. The habits I'm tracking and how I did with them. Again, these wouldn't be done necessarily yet, but later they would be. The tasks, beginning with a verb and then room for the attention paths, only putting 6 tasks here initially. And to complete tasks, I do follow some of the things that they've got listed. So for example, I have already recorded the intro and outro, so I will fill this in completely, right? Right now, if this is in progress, I will fill it out halfway. It doesn't really matter what circle. But if I'm not going to read, I actually take this and I create like an arrow, which moves it to the next natural day. And then if things are open, it means I have to do something with it. So this is kind of my strike through system, where if you've seen me do this before, I kind of cross it off if it's been done. If it's being moved, I will put an arrow through it. And then if it doesn't have an arrow through it or a line through it at all, then I will leave it blank. And of course, if I'm not going to do it at all, so let's say I've decided not to do this, I will put like an X through it, right? Which basically is the equivalent of this. And then what I'll do is, of course, I have this right here, is I'll just put it on there and be able to view it, right? So it sits up like that, right? Now, finally, the other thing that you can do if you want to keep a journal is the back of the cards are really useful for that. But instead of putting the spare cards underneath here, I can slide it under here, right? Or you could just put them in a binder clip and clip them together, or however you want to do it. But that's the crux of how I use these cards. This is how you essentially do time crafting on a daily basis with the analog cards. Again, the next card, if you wanted to, if you were going to do read thinking on paper, I could move it to the next day and then I could transfer it over. But again, I use digital tools for that, more or less. But this ultimately is how I use these analog cards. And this may be a tip for you on how to use them as well. So again, thanks for taking the time to check this video out. If you have any questions or anything, leave them in the comments. And if you enjoyed this video, want to see more of how I use time crafting with different tools, let me know in the comments as well. I'd love to hear from you. And don't forget to subscribe to the channel. Until next time, I'll see you later.